Gentlemen, before we begin, take a deep breath. Because what you're about to hear might just change the way you see everything you thought you understood about love and loyalty. 1. Emotional absence disguised as peace. The most dangerous distance in a relationship isn't physical, it's emotional. It's when she's sitting right next to you, but her mind is somewhere else. You can feel her body close, yet her energy is gone. This is the first invisible sign that something is shifting beneath the surface, something darker than you want to believe. When a woman begins to emotionally detach, she doesn't announce it. She doesn't argue, she doesn't fight, she doesn't scream. She simply goes quiet. And that silence, that's not peace, it's preparation. At first, it feels like relief. The constant tension, the small arguments, the emotional storms suddenly vanish. You tell yourself maybe she's finally calm, maybe things are improving, maybe all those sleepless nights and apologies finally worked. But the truth is, this peace isn't a sign of healing. It's the sound of her walls closing in. Because when a woman checks out emotionally, she doesn't slam the door. She leaves it slightly open, just wide enough for another man to walk through. You'll notice it in her tone. The warmth that once wrapped around you starts to feel mechanical. Her laughter becomes rare. Her eyes start to avoid yours. She listens, but not really. She nods, but her mind is somewhere you can't reach anymore. And no matter how hard you try to reconnect, it feels like you're talking to a reflection. That's because you're not fighting for her attention anymore. You're fighting against her disinterest. Men often mistake emotional withdrawal for maturity. They say, she's just tired, or she's just busy, or she's finally over the drama. But this calmness is a disguise. It's the calmness of someone who has already made peace with leaving. Women rarely wake up one morning and cheat. It's a slow drift, a quiet erosion of connection that starts long before another man even appears. She begins to disconnect from you so she can connect with him without guilt. You might notice her communication changing. She talks less about her feelings, less about her day, and more about nothing. When you ask her what's wrong, she says, "I'm fine." And you believe her, because you want to. But "I'm fine" is never fine. It's the code word women use when they're done explaining themselves to someone who no longer feels like home. Her energy becomes unpredictable. One moment she's affectionate, the next she's distant. One day she compliments you, the next she ignores you completely. This inconsistency isn't confusion, it's transition. She's emotionally testing what life feels like without you, and you can sense it in every interaction. You'll start to feel like you're walking on eggshells, afraid to say the wrong thing, hoping to bring back her spark. But what you're really doing is chasing a version of her that doesn't exist anymore. The emotional connection that once held your world together has been quietly replaced by secrecy. The silence between you starts to stretch, growing heavier every night, until even small conversations feel forced. When a woman emotionally withdraws, she begins to rewrite the story in her mind. She starts convincing herself that you've changed, that you don't care anymore, that she deserves to feel alive again. And once she believes that story, it justifies everything she's about to do next. She stops seeing you as her partner. She starts seeing you as her past. You'll notice she starts seeking validation elsewhere. Maybe it's more time on social media. Maybe it's longer conversations with friends. Maybe it's sudden hobbies that never included you before. What she's really doing is rebuilding her sense of excitement, and you're no longer part of that construction. Her peace becomes her escape route, and what's cruel about it is that she won't admit it, because to admit it would make it real. So she stays quiet, pretending everything's normal, while her emotions already belong to someone else. You think she's calm because she's healed, but in truth, she's calm because she's already gone. 2. Sudden self-improvement without inclusion. One of the most overlooked signs that a woman is hiding a secret affair is a sudden and unexplained transformation. The kind that seems positive on the surface, but carries an undertone that doesn't quite feel right. You'll notice she begins to reinvent herself. New clothes, new hair, new gym routines, new confidence. She starts paying attention to her appearance in a way she hasn't for a long time. And while at first it might make you proud, that pride quickly turns into unease when you realize something feels off. This isn't the self-improvement that grows within a relationship. It's the kind that blooms outside of it. In the beginning, she used to dress up for you. Her effort was an extension of her affection. When she got ready, she'd ask for your opinion. Do I look good in this? Not because she needed validation, but because she cared about what you thought. But now, that connection is gone. She still dresses up, but she doesn't ask. She still looks beautiful, but not for you. The perfume is new, the lipstick is different, and the energy behind it has changed. She's no longer trying to impress you. She's trying to feel seen again, by someone else. You'll notice small but telling details. She starts going to the gym more often, but without inviting you along. She suddenly takes extra time getting ready for errands or meeting friends. The outfits become bolder, the effort sharper, the timing suspiciously coincidental with her moments of emotional distance. You might even compliment her, trying to bridge the gap, and she'll respond with a polite smile, the kind that doesn't reach her eyes. That's because her motivation no longer comes from your attention. It comes from the thrill of being desired again by someone new. The human mind is clever when it comes to justifying its own betrayal. When a woman starts entertaining another man's attention, she tells herself she's just finding herself. She frames her changes as self-growth or becoming independent. But deep down, it's not independence. It's emotional preparation. She's preparing for a life where she no longer needs your approval because she's already getting emotional validation elsewhere. That's why she doesn't include you in her transformation. The journey she's on doesn't have space for you anymore. Men often miss this sign because it hides behind positivity. You see her glowing, motivated, even happier, and you think maybe she's finally doing something for herself. You want to support her. You don't want to be controlling or insecure. But intuition whispers, this energy isn't coming from you and it isn't staying with you. Every new outfit, every selfie, every change in routine feels like she's rewriting her identity. And you're slowly being erased from the story. You might notice her communication patterns shift too. When she's getting ready, she's on her phone more. When she's out, she's suddenly unreachable or vague about where she's been. The explanations don't add up, not because they're impossible, but because they're rehearsed. She knows exactly what to say to sound casual, to keep suspicion low, to maintain the illusion of normalcy. That's the dangerous part. She's not sloppy. She's deliberate. The new version of her is more confident, more private, more selective about what you get to see. When she begins investing heavily in her appearance without sharing that experience with you, it's not just about clothes or makeup. It's symbolic. It means she's rediscovering herself in someone else's eyes. The gym sessions, the skincare routines, the sudden interest in fashion, they're all part of the emotional theater of attraction. She's reawakening the part of her that wants to be pursued, admired, validated. And if she's no longer getting that from you, she's getting it somewhere else. And what makes it even more deceptive is how she masks it. She might say she's just taking care of herself or trying to feel confident again. And she's not lying. She is taking care of herself. But she's doing it because someone new has made her feel like being seen again matters. It's not the self-love journey it appears to be. It's the adrenaline rush of secrecy dressed as empowerment. Her conversations start to sound different too. She begins to talk about change, about growth, about wanting to feel alive. These aren't just words, they're signals. When a woman starts focusing on self-improvement that excludes you, it's often a reflection of emotional detachment. She's building a version of herself that no longer fits into your world, and every new layer she adds is another wall between you and the truth she's hiding. 3. Digital distance and screen secrets. In today's world, the truth rarely hides in words. It hides behind screens. Phones, messages, and social media have become the new battlefield of trust, and when a woman begins to drift into secrecy, her digital habits speak louder than her lips ever could. What once felt open and effortless starts to feel guarded. The phone that used to lie unlocked on the table is now always face down. Notifications that once popped up freely now disappear before you can even glance at them. Passwords change, routines shift, and her phone becomes an extension of her private life, one she no longer shares with you. It starts subtly. She used to scroll beside you, laugh at memes, or show you random posts. Now she angles her screen slightly away, keeps conversations brief, and replies to messages only when you're not looking. You tell yourself she just values her privacy, that you're overthinking, that not everything needs to be shared. But deep down, your instincts start whispering, something isn't right. Because privacy feels calm, but secrecy feels tense. And what she's creating now isn't calmness. It's tension disguised as independence. Her relationship with her phone begins to change in rhythm. She starts carrying it everywhere, even when it makes no sense. Bathroom trips, quick walks to the kitchen, even stepping outside for air. Her phone goes with her like a second shadow. She becomes hyper-aware of where it is, and that awareness isn't about safety. It's about control. She's managing access, making sure you never have the chance to stumble across the part of her life she's keeping hidden. You might notice that her mood changes around her phone. When messages come in, her eyes light up in a way they don't when you speak. Or she becomes defensive if you ask a simple question like, "Who's that?" The tone she uses shifts, soft when she's texting, cold when she's speaking to you. That emotional contrast is one of the clearest indicators that her connection has moved elsewhere, because when emotional intimacy transfers from face-to-face to screen, it changes everything. You're no longer her confidant, you're her cover. Social media tells its own story. Maybe she starts posting differently. More selfies, new captions, a sudden return of the woman who used to love attention but hadn't cared for a long time. Or maybe she does the opposite. She posts less, hides her life more, becomes mysterious. Both are warning signs. The sudden visibility or the sudden silence, they both serve the same purpose: to control perception. She's either trying to attract attention from someone specific or hide that someone's existence entirely. Even her texting patterns with you begin to shift. The rhythm that once felt natural turns mechanical. Short replies, delayed responses, no warmth between the lines. You find yourself rereading her messages, trying to decode what changed. But it's not in the words, it's in the energy. Texting, for her, has stopped being a connection with you. It's now an obligation she fulfills to maintain normalcy. The excitement that once made her reach for her phone to talk to you has been redirected elsewhere, to someone who now gives her that rush you used to. And when you try to bring it up, she flips the narrative. She'll call you insecure, controlling, or paranoid. She'll insist that you're invading her space. But think about it. The same woman who once shared her world with you now acts like you're intruding on it. The woman who used to hand you her phone to play a song now guards it like it holds classified information. That's not growth. That's concealment. Technology has made it easier than ever to betray without being caught. Emotional affairs don't need hotel rooms or late nights anymore. They happen quietly through DMs, comments, or just friends chats that stretch past midnight. You'll never hear the conversations, but you'll feel their impact. The emotional gap between you widens, and her screen becomes the bridge that connects her to another man while distancing her from you. Even the smallest digital details become meaningful. The new password she forgot to tell you. The sudden switch to apps that leave no trace. The smile that flickers when she gets a message and the quick swipe to hide it. She's not cheating in the traditional sense yet, but emotionally, she's already gone. Modern betrayal doesn't begin with touch anymore. It begins with attention. The person who controls her attention controls her emotions, and once her emotions move, her loyalty soon follows. 4. Reverse accusation strategy. When a woman begins hiding an affair, her biggest fear isn't getting caught. It's being questioned. Because questions expose patterns, and patterns reveal the truth. So instead of waiting for suspicion to grow, she flips the script before you even have the chance to notice what's wrong. This is where one of the most manipulative defense mechanisms appears: the reverse accusation strategy. It's a psychological trick designed to make you doubt your own intuition while she buys herself time to cover her tracks. She stops being defensive in the traditional sense and becomes offensive, shifting attention from her behavior to yours. It starts with subtle guilt tripping. You ask a simple question, maybe something like, "You've been a little distant lately. Everything okay?" Instead of answering honestly, she sighs, rolls her eyes, and says something like, "Why are you always accusing me of something?" The conversation that should have been about her actions instantly turns into an argument about your tone, your insecurities, your trust issues. She doesn't deny her behavior directly. She redirects the spotlight. By the end of the conversation, you're apologizing for even asking. That's how she wins. Not with truth, but with emotional confusion. This tactic works because it targets a man's sense of fairness. Most men don't want to be seen as controlling or paranoid, so when she accuses you of being mistrustful, you back down. She uses that moral hesitation against you. The moment you stop questioning her, she regains control of the narrative. Her reverse accusation acts as a psychological smoke bomb. By the time the dust settles, you're the one defending yourself while she walks away clean. You'll notice a pattern when this strategy starts. Every time you raise a concern, she has a counterattack ready. If you question why she's being secretive, she says, "You're too possessive." If you mention that she's changed, she claims, "You've changed first." If you notice her spending more time on her phone, she turns it around. You're the one always distracted. Each accusation she throws isn't random, it's projection. She accuses you of the exact behaviors she's guilty of, not because she believes it, but because it keeps you too busy defending yourself to see the truth. Over time, this creates emotional exhaustion. You begin second-guessing your instincts. You start walking on eggshells, afraid that any attempt to address the distance between you will trigger another argument. That's exactly what she wants. Because as long as you're silenced by guilt, her secret remains protected. You'll notice that every confrontation ends with her playing the victim. Tears, silence, withdrawal, all designed to make you feel like the villain. It's manipulation through emotional leverage. Reverse accusation is a form of psychological warfare, and it's terrifyingly effective because it weaponizes empathy. The more you care, the easier you are to manipulate. She knows you don't want to hurt her, so she makes you believe that your suspicion is the hurt. The more she accuses you of being distant, controlling, or unloving, the more you start to overcompensate, buying her gifts, apologizing, giving her space, and ironically, the more space you give, the more room she has to hide. She might even start planting stories about feeling unappreciated or ignored. This isn't confession, it's camouflage. By portraying herself as emotionally deprived, she builds a moral excuse for whatever she's doing behind your back. If she's caught, she already has the justification ready. "I wouldn't have done this if you had loved me properly." It's not just a lie. It's a rehearsed script that rewrites betrayal as self-defense. What's chilling is how calm she can appear during all this. The same woman who once needed reassurance now seems unbothered by your suspicions. That calmness isn't confidence. It's calculation. She's learned how to stay one step ahead of your emotions. Every time you start piecing things together, she detonates another accusation to scatter your focus. And soon, you begin to doubt yourself more than you doubt her. You start wondering if you're the problem, if you're imagining things, if maybe you've become too paranoid. That's when she's won. Not because she's proven her innocence, but because she's destroyed your certainty. Reverse accusation isn't just manipulation, it's emotional anesthesia. It numbs your intuition until you can no longer feel the truth staring you in the face. You stop noticing her lies because you're too busy fixing the damage she blames you for. And while you're apologizing for things you didn't do, she's quietly continuing what she swore she wasn't capable of. 5. Energy shift, the emotional withdrawal test. Before the truth comes out, before the lies surface, before the messages are found, you'll feel it. Not see it, not hear it, but feel it. A woman's energy tells the story long before her words ever do. When she begins hiding an affair, her energy doesn't just fade, it transforms. It used to reach for you, now it avoids you. It used to nurture connection, now it guards her distance. That's the silent warning most men overlook. They look for evidence, not energy. But the energy always changes first. At first, it's subtle. She becomes less present in the little moments. She used to meet your eyes when you spoke. Now her gaze drifts, distracted. She used to laugh easily. Now her smiles feel practiced, like a performance. Conversations that once flowed with warmth now feel dry, short, unfinished. You ask a question and her answer arrives late, flat, or distant, as if her mind had to travel back from somewhere else to remember you exist. That's not forgetfulness. That's emotional reallocation. Her attention, once devoted to you, has found a new focus. You'll sense it in her body language. The small touches fade first. The quick hugs, the playful nudges, the spontaneous affection. They're replaced with hesitation. Her arms fold more often. Her posture closes off. Her voice loses softness. Physical intimacy becomes a negotiation rather than a natural rhythm. When she does touch you, it feels like obligation, not desire. The connection that once felt alive now feels like a routine she's rehearsing just enough to keep you from asking too many questions. The most painful part of this energy shift is that she doesn't need to say a word for you to know. The silence itself feels heavy. You sense her emotional distance every time you sit beside her. You can feel it in how quickly she picks up her phone when there's a pause in conversation, or how she seems relieved when you're busy so she doesn't have to pretend to engage. She's still there, but her essence isn't. It's like sharing space with someone who's already halfway out the door. Men who've been through this describe it the same way. A strange emptiness that settles into the relationship. The same home, the same routines, but none of the warmth. You start trying harder, thinking maybe effort can reignite what's fading. You plan dates, try to talk more, show affection, but her reaction is neutral. Nothing seems to reach her anymore. It's not that she's angry, it's that she's indifferent. And indifference is far deadlier than anger because anger still means she cares enough to feel. Indifference means she doesn't. Her conversations begin to lack emotional texture. She no longer asks about your day with genuine interest. She listens out of courtesy, not connection. When you share something important, she nods but doesn't absorb it. It's not forgetfulness, it's detachment. She's conserving her emotional energy for someone else, someone who now occupies the space she once reserved for you. And the cruelest part is that she'll still play her role just enough to avoid suspicion. Polite, calm, maybe even kind, but it's all surface level. The woman who used to respond with heart now responds with habit. Even her emotional reactions change. Things that once bothered her no longer matter. She stops arguing, stops fighting, stops caring to explain. Most men mistake this as maturity or progress. They think she's just tired of drama. But what's really happening is withdrawal. She's emotionally checking out, rehearsing detachment so that when she eventually leaves or gets exposed, it won't hurt as much. It's self-protection disguised as emotional stability. You might notice her energy spike randomly, moments where she's suddenly cheerful, glowing, distant yet oddly happy. Those are the times she's getting emotional stimulation elsewhere. The contrast between her energy with you and her energy when she's texting or preparing to go out becomes obvious. She's emotionally alive, just not with you. That spark that once came from your attention has been replaced by the thrill of secrecy. Her patterns of affection reveal the truth her words conceal. You can't measure it in how often she says she loves you. You measure it in how often she shows it. And when that love becomes performance instead of passion, when her touch feels forced and her presence feels hollow, it's because her emotional current has shifted direction. Love doesn't vanish overnight. It slowly reroutes itself toward the place it feels most desired. And when that happens, you don't need to hear the confession. Her energy has already told you everything.